Hi guys, welcome to Tech Tutorials. I am Thomas and this is session 29 of Azure Data Factory Tutorial 2. So in this session we are going to cover how to create self-hosted integration runtime and how to extract data from on-premise SQL database using self-hosted integration runtime. So guys, before we start, please do support by subscribing my channel. Okay, with that let's switch back to our Azure Data Factory. Okay guys, so this is our Azure Data Factory canvas where we have to start our development. So with that, let me just open the SSMS, that is SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, so over here you can see I have two servers. This is an on-premise server that is installed on my local machine, and this is my Azure SQL database. Okay, so now our use case is to read the data or to pull the data from on-premise SQL Server to the Azure SQL database. Okay, so that's what we have to do, like as per the use case for this session. Okay, so let me just quickly open the database and show you the database name, that is project POC is the database name on the on-premise machine. Let's expand this, let's expand the table. You can see we have one table. Let's query this table. Okay, so you can see we have three records, okay, in this table. So now let's go back to our Azure SQL database that we have created. Let's open the database, expand the tables, Azure SQL database takes some time, yeah, due to some latency. Okay, so you can see yeah, this is my employee table. Let's right click and just query it and see like how many records we have or what is the status of the table. Okay, so I think let me just select top 100 records, and now let's see what are the records and how many records we have in this table. Okay, so it's totally empty. Okay, so now we need to get those three records from the on-premise SQL Server, okay, SQL Server database, to our Azure SQL database. Okay, so that's what we have to achieve through this. So let's switch back to our ADF. Let's close this one. Let's switch back to our ADF and let's create a new pipeline. So this is the naming convention of the pipeline that we can use, or we can also use like in a different way, so that when we are working in a project and multiple people are there, everybody is aware of like what exactly the pipeline is doing. So it's better to like follow a naming convention for the pipeline, datasets, linked services and all. So this is what like a prefix that we can use for the pipeline, that is PL underscore, and what we have to do, we have to get the data from an on-premise SQL database, right? So you can put something like OP SQL to Azure SQL. Okay, something like landing, something like that, or extraction, okay, so something like that we can create. We can keep the pipeline name. Okay, now let's see what we have to do. Now let's take a copy activity, bring it over here, select this, copy extract data from on-premise. Okay, so that's it. So so this is the name that we have given to this pipeline or the activity within the pipeline. Then now click on source. In the source you can see we don't have any data sets. Let's create a data set. Click on new. Okay, now we need to identify what is our data set. Search for SQL. So you can find this is Azure SQL, but we are looking for an on-premise SQL server, right? So let's scroll down, click on this SQL server, click continue, give a name to it since it's a data set, right? So what we can give DS on-premise SQL, we can put like this, okay? And now in the linked service you can see we do not have any linked service that can connect to this data set. Okay, click on new and give a name, that is LKOP SQL. Okay, so this is the integration, this is the linked service name that we are going to give in order to connect a SQL data server, SQL Server database. Okay, now you see we have a auto integration runtime, that is the default integration runtime that we have. Let it be like this. Okay, and now I will provide my SQL Server name. Okay, let's go back, let's switch back to my on-premise database, click here, select server name, run it, get the server name from here, go back, paste it over here, database name. Let me just pull out the database name, take this, paste it here. SQL authentication is SQL authentication. Okay, authentication type is SQL authentication. Okay, and what is the username? So the username is POC. Okay, and the password. Okay, so let me just verify the username and password once. Okay, let's scroll back. Okay, so there is some issue, not sure what is that. It's POC login. Okay, so let's disconnect this first. Let's connect it one more time, put it as this. Okay, so I think I forgot the password. Let me just check one more time. Yeah, I'm able to log in. Great. Let me just try to log in one more time just to verify the password. I forgot the password. Great. So now I have the password. Okay, so now what I will do, I will go over here, give the correct password. Okay, and then I will try to see whether I am able to connect to that on-premise SQL server through my ADS. Okay, click on test connection and let's see what happens. So this is the important part, guys. So this is what this is the reason that we have created this video. So this is the important part. So you can see we are trying to connect to Azure, not Azure, like on-premise SQL database through integration runtime, which is a default one, but unfortunately we won't be able to connect to it. That's what I feel. Let's see what happens, because we already know, right, in order to connect to an on-premise environment we should have like self-hosted integration runtime, right? So that's what we are going to see over here, how to create a self-hosted integration runtime. We need to download the instance and we need to download that in and install it in a machine where our SQL server is hosted, okay, or installed. Okay, so that's what we have to do. Let's see, it's taking some time, let's wait. Okay, so connection failure. Let's see what is the error. It's not able to firewall establishing this. Okay, so the same thing, like it won't be able to connect to on-premise. Our ADF won't be able to connect to on-premise SQL server. Okay, through default integration runtime. So what we have to do now? Okay, let's click on this. Okay, and click on new. So as you know, like this is a linked service, right? new linked service, we try to create a linked service. So over here you have an option to create a new integration runtime. Click on that, click on self-hosted integration runtime. Okay, click on continue and give it a name. Self-hosted integration runtime. Okay, you can put already exist. Okay, something is already existing, then we can put POC. Let's suppose it's a POC. Okay, so that's it. Now go and create it. Okay, great. So now you can see we have an option to manually or like express edition, like if you express setup. So if you click on this, automatically you will get that application instance downloaded and it will get registered to your local machine. So what I will show is manual step. Okay, so I will click on this and I will get that exe file downloaded on my local machine where I have to install that. Okay, so when I click on this, let's click on this, it will redirect me to this page. Click on download and get the latest one. So click on this and then click on next. But in the interest of time, I have already downloaded this and kept it my local machine because it's like around 900 MB, right? So my speed is good, but let's cancel it. Okay, because I already have this and you guys can install this or let's download this in your local machine or wherever you want to keep this on-premise environment. Okay, then you simply cancel this one. Okay, and then go back to the location. So this is the integration runtime that I have. Okay, so let's double click this. Great, so this is going to open like this. Let's close this. Oh no. Okay, okay, so you can see this is our setup that has opened up. Click on next, accept the criteria, next, next, install. Okay, so now it will take some time. Our self-hosted integration runtime is trying to install in our local machine. Okay, so it will take like, yeah, I think, let's see what is the, leave this, schedule for the updates, cancel. Okay, so it's still running, it's still installing our integration runtime or self-hosted integration runtime on my local machine. Okay, so let's wait. So guys, this is the important part. Okay, so we have to understand like what is like self-hosted integration runtime, how to create it, and how to put that in a machine where our on-premise environment is present. Okay, so that's it. Let's cancel this. Okay, what is this? Yeah, it was showing a notification or a pop-up. Okay, so now I've selected yes on this and let's see, now it's getting completed. Okay, and over here if you go to your ADF, you can see we have two keys, right? So this is the authentication key which we will be using over here, and then we will pass that into the application that is getting installed. So it will provide a gateway and connectivity so that our ADF can communicate to the on-premise environment. Okay, so that's what like we are trying to achieve over here. Okay, let's go back, let it install. So guys, you can see we have two options, right? Step 1, step 2. So we could have used step 1 as well. So if you're selecting step 1, automatically everything will be happening, that is download, install and configure, everything will happen together. Okay, so we can see this also. You guys can also check and let me know if you guys have any questions. So we started with the manual step, downloaded, we kept that on our host machine or the machine where our SQL server installed. Okay, install it, finish it. Okay, now let's see. Okay, so this is the authentication key tab where we need to put the details. Go down, copy the first key value, go back to our self-hosted integration runtime, paste it. Okay, register it. Now we are registering this. Okay, great. Click on finish. Okay, so it's initializing integration runtime node components. Okay, so it's still in progress. Let's wait for some time. So once that gateway and the bridge is established, then probably we will be able to connect to this on-premise environment through our ADF. So I have been iterating this. So let me know if you guys have any questions on this. And see, this is now registered. Let's close this. Now let's close this. Okay. So now you see this is still showing as currently unavailable. Okay. So why this is showing as currently unavailable? Because when we created this self-hosted integration runtime, that time we have not configured our self-hosted integration runtime with the authentication key. So that could be the reason why it is not showing up. So let's refresh it and let's see what happens. I don't see anything happening. Okay, yeah, great. Now you see, just click on the drop box and just select the self-hosted integration runtime one more time, and then we are good to go. So see, rest everything will remain same. Let's go and test the connection now. Great. So see, connection established successfully. Okay, so that's the benefit of self-hosted integration runtime. Now let's click on create. So now when I'm clicking on create, automatically now linked service will be created. Okay, so now I will be using this linked service to create my data set. Okay, so let it create first. Great. Now see, linked service is created, and now this is my data set name, and there is an option to provide the table name as well. Okay, so you can simply click on dbu employee, click OK. You can keep this blank as well, and then you can click OK, and then you will further go into the data set properties. Over here also you can change the properties. Okay, so you can write a query or you can pass a table name. Okay, whatever you want to do, you can do this. Okay, so you can see that table we have selected, but we are not getting that option to provide the table name, right? So what we can do, we can either parameterize the data set. You can go over here and parameterize it. As of now, what is happening is this specific connection is directly pointing to that table that we have given, because when you click on open and go to the data set, in data set you can find it is pointing to that table. It's still loading. Okay, let it load. See, it is pointing directly to the table, so that's why we are not seeing that option to provide the table name from the activity level. Okay, so that's it. So this is my source. Go to the sink. In the sink I will pass my I will create a new linked service that will point to my Azure SQL database. Let's go and search for Azure SQL database. This is Azure SQL database. Click on that, provide the database name, dataset name ds Azure SQL. Okay, let's copy this, go create a new linked service. Okay, paste it here. LK, linked service name is starting with LK and Azure SQL. Okay, and our integration runtime will be the default one, that is Azure integration runtime or auto resolve integration runtime. Okay, because this is our Azure SQL database, so integration runtime will be sufficient enough for us to make a connectivity or a bridge or handshake. Okay, now let's see what we can do. Connection string, open our subscription ID, open our server name, provide our database name. Okay, SQL authentication, let's give our username, go to the password. Okay, and let's test the connection. Let's see what happens. Yeah, magic has happened and it's successful. Let's click create. Okay, let's click on table name. Yeah, here also we have option to provide the table name. Let's give the table name if we have. Okay, click this. So if you want to parameterize your data sets, it's not recommended to give the values like this. You simply have to click on OK, and over there we can go into the dataset and make the modifications. But since it's just an example of creating the self-hosted integration runtime and extract the data from the self-hosted integration runtime to the Azure SQL, I am directly passing the table name. Okay, click on OK, and that's it. Now save it. Great. So let's see what happens. Let's execute. Let's go to our this table, that is our Azure SQL database table. Let's execute it. You will find that it's empty, no records found. Let's try to execute it and let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. It's still executing. Yeah, it has started the execution. Okay, great, it is successful. Now let's query the table and let's see. Yeah, see the magic. Now the data has been landed or extracted from on-premise SQL database to our Azure SQL database. So that was the magic of self-hosted integration runtime. Okay, guys, so I think the concept of self-hosted integration runtime is clear, and how to get the data from on-premise system to Azure environment is also clear. Okay, so if you guys have any doubts around this, please do let me know, and guys, please do subscribe my channel to motivate and bring up more such contents for you. So I will be planning to bring another concept to execute SSIS package using lift and shift concept in coming days. Okay, and please do support me on that. And that's it guys for today's session. Let's meet in the coming session. Thank you and have a great day ahead. Thank you.